So my name is Brian McPherson. I'm the CDSS kind of program manager at the CWCB. So I think probably most people here are familiar with CDSS to some extent. CDSS, of course, is Colorado's decision support systems. It is a toolbox and collection of data for water resources decision making. It's a joint program between the CWCB and DWR. We work hand in hand as a team. We have monthly meetings. So it really is a collaborative program between the two agencies. And the goal of CDSS is to assist state planning, water users, and anybody else looking at water resources issues, consultants, attorneys, academia. There are a lot of people who use CDSS in some form. So, the three original goals that were set out in 1993 when the CRDSS, the Colorado River Decision Support System, was sort of initiated. So this is like a 25-year-old program, sort of CDSS as it is today. The three stated goals then were interstate compact policy analysis, water resources management, water rights administration. I don't think we've strayed far from that today. I think those were they identified three good goals in 1993, and those pretty much still hit it today. So this slide comes from John. We kind of wanted to give an overview of he calls it the CDSS universe. I have 3 slides that kind of describe what is CDSS, because I think to some people it's a little bit nebulous. They think of maybe one piece of it, but there's a lot of pieces to CDSS. The first sort of part of the universe revolves around HydroBase. So HydroBase is Colorado's water resources database. And that's, HydroBase has been around a long time, and it's got your diversions, stream gauges, reservoir levels, groundwater levels, water rights. All the things listed at the top there are the data that go into HydroBase. And really that data is collected around the state, all the division offices from DWR, as well as through the state, water court. We're pulling that data from a lot of places, and it goes into, this one database, HydroBase. And then there are lots of portals, ways to get at that data. So we've got Map Viewer for geospatial data, the CDSS data and tools, which John's going to be talking about next, web services as well, that John's going to be talking about. And then the software tools and the modeling tools, TS tools, state DMI, all those. But those are really all ways of grabbing HydroBase data, manipulating it. So one thing I'll mention that's sort of new that John's going to be talking about is the web services. There's Git commands, or what would you call them? Git protocols that grab data. And something new that's being incorporated is post web services. So actually ways for people with the right credentials to submit data back to HydroBase. So that's something that's kind of new that has come about in the last year or so. I also wanted to mention that web services are now being incorporated into our software. So previously, to run TS tool or, to gather data for state mod, you had to download a HydroBase file onto your computer. And now we're working on ways, and it's coming online in TS tool and state DMI, where you can actually grab that data from HydroBase through the software, through the internet, and not having to have that local version of HydroBase. And we'll talk about that more later too. So, okay, then I'm still in the CDSS universe. I would call the next part databases and reports that are not HydroBase. So the CDSS website is full of reports, studies, memos, documentation that a lot of them came from the basin DSS efforts. So, 1993, we started with the Colorado River DSS. Next was the Rio Grande DSS, South Platte DSS, and we're currently working on phase 1 of the Arkansas DSS. So that's where a lot of these products came from, or databases, modeling data, all of the state mod model, consumptive use model. So that's where a lot of this came from. And again, all of this can be found on the DSS website. And I'm not going to go through, I just grabbed these, but then there's the software. So, it's the CDSS software program is pretty unique for a state water resources agency like us to be producing and maintaining. Not many, or I'm not really aware of any of the other Western states that have their own custom software. And this came out of a need back from the original CRDSS in the 90s to have a surface water model, state mod, that represented Colorado's unique water rights. And then a lot of the other software came about as support for state mod or ways to view data, manipulate data. And there's even some, like the least fallow tool and OG3, which is being covered up, are sort of basin specific, or they serve a very particular purpose. So Kelly's going to be talking a bit about least fallow tool, I think. So again, like I said, we could spend a whole day on the software, and we may in the future. So, like I said, everything I just mentioned really is housed on the CDSS website. So that's the good news. The bad news is there's a lot there. There's a lot to dig through in this web page, but it is all here. Carolyn just worked on a website overhaul, so it looks a lot nicer. It navigates a lot better than it used to. So that's a plus. And we're also, working on kind of updating the public on what we're working on. So whether that's putting an update on the front of the web page, sending out newsletter. So I don't have it here, but at the end, I'm trying to push getting people to sign up for our CDSS tools and technology newsletter, which we're going to try to do a better job of sending out quarterly or so on what's new in CDSS. So next, I'm going to just give a little update on each of the basin DSSs and sort of where they sit, what the quick history was on each of them, because some people who have a long history, with CDSS are probably familiar. Some newer people probably are less familiar, especially with the older basin DSSs. So CRDSS was the first one. This is the West Slope, Colorado River, including the Yampa and San Juan, all the West Slope basins. This was like I said, this is the first basin DSS to be done. CRAS, CRWAS, the Colorado River Water Availability Study, was a project probably in the last 5 years that sort of gave an update to those model data sets, and really just finishing up phase 2 recently. So that's something, if you're interested, you can check out the model data sets and the documentation and the reports on the water availability study. But that really gave an update. I think all the models are up to 2016 now. Swasey 2019, statewide water supply initiative. That's not really CRDSS specific, that's statewide, but again, the models are being run for this statewide study on the water situation around the state. And I'll give a little further update of Swasey in a second. And then there's lots of other, especially academia, using the Colorado River state mod models for some really interesting work on whole basin-wide issues, looking at the entire Colorado River or just within the state of Colorado. So there's a lot of cool work being done. People are running the models through supercomputers using big time statistics and really interesting stuff. RGDSS, the Rio Grande. The big story of the RGDSS was the groundwater rules and regulations, 15 CW 3024. That was, a big impetus for the groundwater model, which is currently it's in phase 6 and still being updated as the sub-district issues are being worked out. A ruling should be coming out soon, weeks, months. And, I'm sure some of you are very familiar with the formation of the sub-districts and how the RGDSS is being used for those groundwater issues. SPDSS, that got finished a few years ago. The groundwater model was originally done in 2013, I believe. It got an update in 2016, which is all available on our website. The surface water model is complete except for the cache Laputer. We may be taking, that may come back around in the years to come to finish the entire basin. And like I said, again, all this is available on our website. Finally, ArcDSS, the Arkansas River. We're in the midst of it as we speak. There are 3 main components. The GIS component on all the irrigated lands and crop typing and all that. That all feeds into the surface water model, consumptive use models. That's all coming along nicely. And then sort of a unique task is the administrative tools for Division 2. So what that is sort of a set of specialized tools, web-based tools for Division 2 to use for administration. So there's the Colors of Water tool, which shows stream flow at gauges, what type of flow that is. There are request tools where water users can submit reservoir release requests, exchange requests. So there's all sorts of these tools that really help sort of bridge the communication gap between water users and Division 2 office. So, I think, again, that's something that we would love to see in other basins as well, just to clean up communication, which has always been, I think, a struggle with administering water. Okay, so quick update on the statewide water supply initiative, Swasey 2019. This is an update to the original Swasey 2010, as well as sort of a technical update to the Colorado Water Plan and the basin implementation plans. They're trying to sort of, CWCB, they are trying to sort of really tie together the water plan, basin plans, and Swasey as sort of a interrelated update. So Swasey is the technical component of that trifecta. And as far as CDSS is concerned, there's a lot of links to CDSS, but there's a component of statewide monthly state mod modeling that's going to be done to look at these different scenario planning. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but this incorporates climate change, different growth projections for the state, economy. There's all sorts of things that go into these different scenarios that are being modeled. But that, again, that's going to result in a statewide data set of model results that'll be really interesting. Things are supposed to wrap up September 2019 for Swasey. I think that schedule is still to date. And, Swasey also produces lots of other tools for planning, whether that's population growth, M&I, ag, environmental. So there's lots to Swasey that will be coming out this summer. Open CDSS. So we gave a little talk on this at Water Congress, but Open CDSS is sort of the CDSS software open source initiative where we are moving our software, StateMod, TS Tool, StateCU, et cetera, to an open source platform, which means that the source code will be publicly available, and the public can make contributions to the source code if they wish, with some caveats that those updates need to be good. So it's a little bit of a misconception because people say, hasn't the CDSS software always been public and free. Yes, it has, but the source code was always, kept within our offices or to a small group. So that's really the main thing here. And so this is going to result in public repositories for the source code, for documentation, all on GitHub, user guides as well. We have open source licensing we've worked through to make it clean legally for people, how people make contributions. This also really helps with version control, developer environments, and we hope that this will result in a larger development team, because that's always a struggle with a software program, is to have a sort of a robust development team. So if you're interested in that, if that perks your ears, definitely reach out to me, reach out to Steve Mailers from the Open Water Foundation. We'd love to talk to you. So I won't go through this, but like I said, CDSS is really a collaborative program between the CWCB and DWR. Lots of folks are really involved, and all the way down to every water commissioner in the division offices are out there collecting data. Hydrobase is really an amazing database of water software in Colorado. I think we're all pretty lucky that we have such robust data. I think people take it for granted how good we have it in Colorado with our data. So lots of folks. Don't be afraid to reach out, I'd say. All of our contact info is on the CDSS website or DWR's website, so don't be a stranger. And lastly, sign up for the TDSS newsletter if you want to get roughly quarterly updates, I think. If you go to the, what are we calling this? The CDSS online portal, there's a DNR portal. I'm using the word portal a lot. There's a link down here where you can create a login for the CDSS website. If you then go to notification list and sign up for the tools and technology news list, that will get you emailed updates. And I think John's also going to be talking about some of the other things that creating a login will get you in the future. We're doing more where you can log in, have a profile, and sort of set up your profile how you wish. With that, I think I'll pass it off to John Rogers from DWR State Engineer's Office. Thanks.
Cool. There you go.